The night of the Forrester Gallery fire would become one of the most haunting chapters in Los Angeles's recent history. Flames tore through the building with ruthless speed, devouring decades of design, legacy, and pride. Smoke billowed into the sky as firefighters swarmed the property, battling a blaze that refused to be tamed. Sirens wailed, lights flashed, and somewhere inside that inferno, Hope Logan screamed. No one knew exactly how she ended up trapped on the upper level. She had arrived early, alone, to finish a display set up for the upcoming preview. The fire alarms triggered too late. The staircase collapsed before she could escape. By the time help arrived, she was unconscious on the floor, buried beneath a pile of fallen beams and scorched fabric. Hope was rushed to the hospital in critical condition, her body battered but alive. The real damage, however, wasn't visible on any scan. When she opened her eyes days later, surrounded by concerned faces, something was off. Her gaze was empty, her voice hesitant. The nurse asked routine questions. Hope responded, but confusion clouded her features. Then came the moment that shattered the room. Liam walked in, holding her hand, whispering her name, and she looked at him as if he were a stranger. "Do I know you?" The words hit like a slap. Liam froze. Doctors ushered him out. Tests were run. Specialists consulted. The verdict was clear: retrograde amnesia, likely caused by the trauma and oxygen deprivation during the fire. Hope had no memory of her recent life. No recollection of her children, her relationships, or even her own identity beyond scattered childhood flashes. To her, the faces surrounding her were unknown shadows pressing in too fast, too close. Liam was shattered. Ridge was furious at the fire, at the world, at fate. Brooke was barely holding it together, oscillating between maternal panic and forced optimism. But amidst the chaos, someone stepped forward with an unexpected calm: Carter Walton. At first, he was just there to help. He visited the hospital out of genuine concern. But the first time Hope saw him, something in her expression softened. Maybe it was the kindness in his eyes. Maybe it was the lack of pressure. Or maybe it was luck. But she didn't flinch when Carter spoke to her. She listened. So he made a decision, controversial, reckless, but rooted in something deeper than reason. He told Hope they had once been together. That he had loved her. That they had history. A lie, yes, but one born from desperation. Carter's logic was simple. If Hope responded to him, then maybe, just maybe, he could be the bridge that brought her back. Liam was furious when he found out. "You're lying to her," he shouted. "You're exploiting this." But Ridge stopped him. "She's responding. That's all that matters right now." Tension grew by the day. Carter took on the role of Hope's emotional caretaker, staying at her side, reading her old journals aloud, showing her photos, telling her stories, some true, some invented. Slowly, she began to accept this version of her life. She smiled again. She let herself feel safe. She leaned on Carter, and he leaned back. But it wasn't love. Not yet. It was survival. Meanwhile, Ridge launched a relentless campaign to trigger her memories. He brought her home to the Forrester estate. He recreated key moments from her childhood, her favorite meals, her old bedroom, the piano her grandmother once played. Nothing worked. Hope remained kind, open, but distant, as if she were looking through fogged glass. Steffi and Thomas were skeptical of Carter's methods, warning Ridge that the longer the lie continued, the harder it would be for Hope to recover authentically. But Ridge, despite his instincts, remained torn. All he wanted was for his daughter to come back, no matter the path. Then came the children. When Liam finally convinced the doctors that Hope needed to see her kids, he brought them to the hospital. The scene was heartbreaking. Beth ran to her mother, calling out "Mommy" with open arms. Hope froze. Her smile faded. She stepped back, confused, alarmed. She didn't recognize them. Not even a flicker of instinct. Liam had to take the children away, fighting tears. From that moment, Liam withdrew. He stopped coming daily. He stopped fighting Carter. He believed he had lost her, not just to the fire, but to something deeper. And in his absence, Carter grew bolder. He moved Hope to a private rehab center on the coast, away from the pressure of the city. There, they built a simple, gentle routine. Walks on the beach, soft music, storytelling. Hope seemed happier, but still, something was missing. One night, she stood by the window, looking at the stars. "Why do I feel like I'm someone else?" she asked. "Like I'm living a life that isn't mine?" Carter hesitated. "You're who you've always been," he said. But she wasn't convinced. The ache in her chest, the one she couldn't name, was growing louder. Back in LA, Ridge met with a neurologist who proposed a radical idea, a controlled memory re-exposure session using immersive virtual stimuli and guided hypnosis. Controversial, risky, but it had shown success in trauma-induced amnesia cases. Ridge got Liam on board. He convinced Carter, reluctantly, to bring Hope back for the treatment. The session was intense. They recreated a pivotal day from Hope's past, her wedding to Liam. She was placed in a simulated chapel setting with familiar sounds, visuals, voices. At first, nothing. Then a flicker. A heartbeat. She turned, saw Liam in the simulation, and something shifted. A tear. A gasp. Her legs gave out. That night, she woke up screaming. Pieces were returning, disjointed, violent. Fire. Screams. Falling. A man calling her name. A child's face. But it wasn't Carter. It was Liam. The truth began to crack through the illusion. Hope started to question Carter's story. "Why aren't there any photos of us together? Why don't I remember loving you?" Carter tried to deflect, but the wall was breaking. Liam returned, this time quietly, humbly. He brought Beth and Douglas again. Hope hesitated but didn't flinch this time. She let Beth sit beside her. She let Douglas hold her hand. Something was shifting. Then one morning, she woke up with a word on her lips. Liam. The memories came like a flood. The fire. The accident. The life she had lived. Her children. Her love. Her heartbreaks. Her mistakes. Her family. She remembered everything. And with the clarity came the pain of loss, of betrayal, of being lied to. She confronted Carter. "Why?" she asked. "Why would you lie about something so sacred?" Carter looked broken. "Because you trusted me. Because you needed someone. Because I didn't know how to say goodbye." She didn't scream. She didn't cry. She simply turned away. The aftermath was complicated. Hope didn't return to Liam immediately. She was whole again, but not unchanged. Trauma had left its fingerprints on everything. She needed time, space, to rediscover herself, to rebuild trust, not just with Liam, but with everyone. Carter faced consequences. Not legal, but social. He was suspended from Forrester. Ridge refused to look at him. Brooke demanded he never contact Hope again. But Liam, despite everything, thanked him. "You kept her safe," he said. "Even if you did it the wrong way." Hope eventually returned to the family home. Beth ran into her arms without hesitation. Douglas sobbed. Liam stood at a distance, unsure. But Hope walked to him, took his hand, and said, "Let's start again." The fire nearly destroyed her. The lie nearly stole her life. But love, real love, even fractured, had brought her back. And in true Los Angeles fashion, the story wasn't over. A new question burned in every whisper. If love can restore memories, what else can it resurrect? The nightmare returned, not with fire this time, but with silence. Hope Logan was gone. One moment, she was in the Forrester guest house, recovering, surrounded by family. The next, her room was empty, the sheets untouched, her belongings left behind. No note, no sign of struggle, nothing. Just a door left slightly ajar and a growing panic that swept through the Forrester estate like a second wildfire. Brooke was the first to notice. She called for Hope, checked the garden, the studio, every corner of the property. Then her voice cracked. Her heart skipped. She ran to Ridge. "She's gone." Ridge tried to stay calm, but the look in his eyes gave him away. Within minutes, Liam was notified. Then Carter. Then the police. At first, everyone assumed she had gone for a walk, maybe needed air. But the hours ticked by. Day turned to dusk. Her phone was still at the house. No Uber receipts. No messages. No surveillance footage of her leaving. She had vanished. For Brooke, it was déjà vu, another daughter lost, another twist of fate mocking her motherhood. For Carter, it was something worse. Guilt. Because he had lied to Hope before, crossed a line, and now every second she was missing felt like punishment. He joined Brooke in the search, no hesitation. He needed to find her, not to redeem himself, but to bring her home safe. As night fell over Los Angeles, Hope walked the streets alone. She didn't know how she got there. The memories, so recently restored, were slipping again. Not all at once, but in pieces. Names started fading. Faces. Places. Something inside her mind was unraveling under the weight of trauma. She couldn't remember why she left. She only knew she had to. The air felt too tight. The walls too loud. She had followed instinct, walking until the world around her blurred into confusion. She wandered past shops she didn't recognize. Sat in a park she couldn't name. At one point, a kind stranger asked if she was okay. Hope smiled softly, "I think I forgot something," before walking away. Back at Forrester Creations, the search became urgent. Brooke contacted hospitals. Carter combed through traffic camera data. Ridge used his contacts in the LAPD. Liam drove aimlessly through downtown, checking parks, coffee shops, anywhere Hope might be. But no one found her. No sightings. No clues. By morning, Carter had an idea. "She always loved the ocean," he said. "When we were at the rehab center, she said the waves made her feel calm. If she's lost, that's where she might go." Brooke hesitated. "Malibu?" Carter nodded. "It's a long shot, but it's better than waiting." They split up. Brooke taking the north coast, Carter heading toward Santa Monica and Venice. For hours, nothing. Until, just after noon, Carter's phone buzzed. A bus station clerk in Marina del Rey had recognized Hope from a flyer. She was here. Last night. She seemed confused. "I tried to help, but she left." It was a break. A fragile, critical thread. Carter pushed deeper into the neighborhood, asking everyone. Showing photos. His phone nearly died. His car ran low on gas. But he didn't stop. Not until he saw her. She was sitting on a bench near the marina, barefoot, eyes fixed on the horizon. Disheveled. Distant. Lost. Carter stopped a few feet away, unsure if she would know him or bolt. "Hope," he said gently. She turned slowly, blinking. Her voice was barely audible. "Do I know you?" His heart dropped. "Yes, you do." She didn't move. "I don't remember my name. I think I forgot who I am." Carter stepped closer, cautiously. "You're Hope." Hope Logan. You're kind. You love fashion. You have a daughter named Beth. A son named Douglas. You love fiercely. You fight through pain. And you're not alone. Tears welled in her eyes. Beth. She's waiting for you, Carter said. We all are. The wind picked up. Hope clutched her arms. I'm scared. I know, Carter said. But you're coming home. Back at the Forrester estate, Brooke collapsed into tears as Carter carried Hope inside. She wrapped her daughter in her arms, whispering promises of safety. Ridge stood quietly, shaken. Liam arrived shortly after, stunned at how fragile Hope looked, barely present, like a dream slipping away. Doctors were called. Tests ordered. The amnesia had regressed. The trauma had triggered a secondary dissociative episode. It wasn't permanent, but it was serious. Hope would need more than rest now. She would need constant care, psychological support, and unconditional patience. Carter remained by her side. Not as a lover. Not as a liar. But as someone who had seen her break and was determined to help her rebuild. Hope was home, but the battle was far from over. And as she slept in her old room, curled into herself, whispering names she no longer understood, one question remained for everyone. Would she ever truly remember again? Or had the fire taken more than they feared? The answer, like everything else in Los Angeles, waited in the next storm.